Welcome back. You're watching and listening to Breakfast with Dawn and Anne.
Now, Prince Harry is 40 tomorrow.
We have to talk about age and
we were talking earlier about how old does that make you feel that Prince Harry is 40, because we all remember him as a little toddler, don't we?
Oh, God, yeah, I interviewed his mum when he was literally a baby in arms.
Anyway, he said that he was anxious about his 30s, but he's nothing but excited about his 40s.
Well, if it's anything like his last decade, Harry will be a busy prince between Netflix projects and pseudo-royal trips alongside Meghan.
Well, it'll be busy indeed. I hope so for him, actually.
Yeah.
We're now joined by former royal correspondent for The Sun, Charles Ray. Morning, Charles. Oh, bet you can't believe it either. That little prince suddenly being 40.
I've lost the plot on age a long, long time ago.
Do you think he's happy, Charles?
It's a hard question. As I've said to you many times, he's made his bed, he's got to lie in it. I mean, there's an awful lot of people keep on saying that he's not happy. He doesn't look a happy man. Whether these rumours of him wanting to come back into the royal family are true, I'm not so sure. But it's interesting, though, and Dawn, that he issued an 84-word statement praising his two children, you know, the greatest things, as most parents would do, praising his children. And, you know, his want for the future is to make the world a better place. Now, that just reminds me of all those Miss World contests of years ago when a presenter would stick a microphone under a swimsuit-clad young beauty and ask, what do you want for the future? It says, oh, world peace. It's that sort of, you know, we all want world peace. We all want to, you know, to be everything to go well again. I mean, he's supposed to be having his birthday soon, you know, his birthday party soon. There's no mention in that statement, no, of one word, Meghan. None.
Oh, gosh, I hadn't noticed that. I hadn't noticed that.
No, there's no praise for Meghan. And let's not forget, this is the guy who, every time he has an opportunity, a microphone's placed in front of him, he's gushing about Meghan. So he's, and of course, we're now going to get conspiracy theorists saying, hey, he's not mentioned Meghan, that's it, the marriage is over, he's coming back next week. You know, that's the sort of conditions he's under now.
But Charles, that's really interesting point. Neither Anne nor I had actually noticed that he hadn't mentioned Meghan. I mean, normally when we see them, they're sort of like hanging off each other, like, you know, as if their lives depended on it. I mean, as you say, we can interpret this in so many ways, but we have had a lot of stories recently about Meghan being difficult. They've got through, I think, 10 members of staff in the last few years. There's lots of stories about Meghan not being the easiest person to live with.
Wow, no, you're right. She's not an easy person. I mean, we've got track records of when she was back in the palace and her conflicts with various members of staff and various members of high-ranking courtiers as well. Now, that's continued into her non-royal life. And, you know, we were talking about Harry going off with some mates on a Jolly Boys outing for the weekend. I'm not sure if it's this weekend or next week. It can't be this weekend because he's going to be with his wife. But those guys, she has alienated a vast majority of those friends of his. And there's only a very few left. Now, these are the ones who are putting out, oh, Harry would like to come back in some form or other and do some part-time work. Well, remember, the Queen made it quite clear before she died, you can't come in halfway and half out. It's all in or all out. It's that simple. So if this is true that he wants to come back and do some, you know, royal duties, which I cannot believe to be true, because is he going to leave Meghan for 6 months of the year or 3 months of the year or what, and travel backwards and forwards, transatlantic flights and everything else? It doesn't hold water for me.
Doesn't, and I mean, a lot of people say, certainly all our viewers react by saying he's made his bed, he's just got to learn to lie in it. The problem is he doesn't have a job, does he? I mean, what does he do?
Well, no, and I was reading this morning in one of the features, many features of Harry, I'm in Hollywood. Before, when he arrived, it was Prince Harry and Meghan. Now it's Meghan and +1. Oh. You know, that tells you the state of the way things are in Hollywood. He's just there, you know, to make up a number. And if you watch any of the clips that we ever see of them together, you know, Meghan is the one who takes the lead and goes forward to greet hands and everything else, whereas it should be the member of the royal family. It's all just protocol and everything else, but it's quite noticeable that he sits in the background quite a lot.
Prince Harry just posted a birthday message for Meghan Markle, and it sparked a tidal wave of speculation. Far from warm or affectionate, the message has been labeled cryptic and emotionally distant by fans and commentators alike. It wasn't personal, it wasn't loving, in fact. Many say it felt more like a public formality than a genuine celebration of his wife. In previous years, Harry's messages to Meghan were full of emotion, photos, memories, even quotes about love. This time, no personal photo, no mention of a relationship, and no warmth. Just a few cold words on a filtered post. It's left people wondering.
Charles, I mean, you know, 0 birthday, as I'm coming up to one, is notorious for making you assess where you're going, where you've been. You know, he served his country in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
You know, he's been, you know, a man at the front of, you know, doing manly things. And now he appears to, certainly all our viewers, to be well and truly under the thumb. Do you think he will be looking forward to the next 10 years and wondering where he is going and what he needs to do?
Well, like the rest of us, Dawn and Anne, he's got no choice but to look forward to the next 10 years, because that's all we've got. We've got to look forward to it, and you know, we can last as long as we can. That's fantastic. But you're absolutely right. I mean, what has he got? You know, in his 30s, you're right. I've always praised him for his service to this country. You can't fault him on that. You can't fault him for the Invictus Games. He's done some great work. He's also done some great work with charities and everything, as the royals do. But he hasn't got a purpose anymore.
Yeah.
You know, there's only so much time you could sit on a sofa and try and devise a new Netflix program or Spotify something or other. That's not a job. You know, he needs to get out and he needs to do something. Even if it's just some sort of charity stuff, he needs to be involved in something or other than just being at home, you know, with Meghan and looking after the kids. He needs a purpose in life. And unfortunately, given what has happened with his own family, that purpose seems to have disappeared quite a bit.
Well, certainly, if there are any bridges to be built, they're going to take a long time.
They
Charles,
are.
yeah, Charles, thank you very much. Lovely to see you.
Lovely.
The Russian President, Vladimir Putin, has issued an ominous warning to the UK and other NATO countries over suggestions that Ukraine may be given permission to strike Russia with Western-made long-range missiles.
He's said if that was to happen, then it would put NATO countries at war with Russia and significantly change the nature of the Ukraine conflict.
Well, that would be the point, wouldn't it? Significantly changing the nature. Anyway, despite all this, Sir Keir Starmer has pressed on with trying to persuade President Biden to let Ukraine access to the missiles. This all came during a bilateral meeting in the US yesterday.
GB News political correspondent Catherine Forster has the latest from Washington.
I don't think much about Putin. Those were the words of the outgoing US President Joe Biden as the press were briefly let into the Blue Room in the White House, where Sir Keir Starmer, the new Prime Minister, and President Biden were meeting to discuss all of these very pressing global challenges. Ukraine, of course, top of the list. That comment in response to the very clear threat that the Russian president has made to the West if they allow Storm Shadow missiles to be fired into Russia. We haven't had an announcement on that. We weren't expecting it. It's quite possible that if it happens, we won't know about it until the weapons actually drop into Russia. Whether that will happen or not is still not clear. America has been very loath to agree this for fears of what escalation could do. But of course, last week we had the news that Iran is supplying ballistic missiles to Russia, and also we had that joint trip when the British Foreign Secretary David Lammy and the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken both going to Kyiv, and Volodymyr Zelensky saying again that he needs those weapons and he needs them now. A very delicate situation, and of course we don't know what's going to happen here come November, because we might have the return of Donald Trump or Kamala Harris, and then going forward the situation could change again.
But Sir Keir Starmer has said it's down to Putin to end the war in Ukraine. Here's what he had to say after yesterday's meeting.
Only one reason we're having these discussions, and that is because Putin has illegally invaded Ukraine. The quickest way to resolve this, obviously, lies through what Putin actually does, because it's for him to end this. But we are having the discussion. We've stood with Ukraine. Ukraine has a right to self-defense.
What changed? Even the royal-friendly press couldn't ignore the tone. Some headlines are calling it a clear snub. This comes on the heels of multiple signs that things may not be all rosy in Montecito. Harry has taken solo trips. Meghan has been making appearances alone. And now this? It's not just about one message, it's about a pattern. A slow, public distancing that suggests Harry may be emotionally checking out. Interestingly, Meghan hasn't reacted publicly to the message. No repost, no comment, not even a like. For a couple that once traded adoring glances and staged PDA on red carpets, the radio silence is deafening. Some insiders believe Meghan is hurt.
And we've stood united, not just with our allies here in the US, but across with our NATO allies. That's very, very important to us. But today was about having the chance to talk not just about a particular step or tactic, but the strategy in relation to Ukraine. But also we covered the Middle East in some extensive detail and other areas across the world. So it was a really important occasion for us to have this chance to discuss with our allies. We've got another chance week after next in Unger, and we'll take that as well.
Lots of words there. To explain them, thankfully, is former British Army spokesperson Major Mike Shearer. Mike, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Good morning to you very early. Mike, have we achieved anything by going out there and having these meetings?
Well, I think it's the natural rhythm of politics that has to happen. But delaying in any way in holding back our Ukrainian neighbors is simply wrong. They are fighting a war for their sovereignty, for their freedom, and actually not just for themselves, but really for the rest of Western Europe.
You know, I was going to point out that the Times front page there, the lead, is Zelensky, Putin burns our cities as the West delays. He's beginning to lose patience with us, but can't afford to, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, President Zelensky, I feel his frustration, and he is right. I mean, these red lines that we're all so excited about, let's not forget that we've already given them fast jets, F-16s, main battle tanks, new anti-tank weapons. So that was a red line, which has not been acted upon by Putin. I don't want to tease Putin's will, but we must help the people in the right here, and that is Ukraine with their freedoms and their sovereignty.
Mike, I'm very confused. Are the UK and the USA actually singing from the same hymn sheet on this? Because from what I could work out, Joe Biden is resisting pressure to allow American long-range missiles to be used inside Russian territory. But it's OK for Britain to use the Storm Shadow's long-range missiles.
I think my reading of it at the moment is that we're all left in the dark. We really don't know, for operational security reasons, what that decision is. I just hope it's on the right side. And I don't want to use the word hawkish, but you will get what I mean. We need to be a little bit more robust with what's going on in the Ukraine.
Vladimir Putin sort of threatening World War III. He's done it several times since the Ukraine problem started. How seriously should we take that threat? I mean, should we be scared? Or is this all bluster?
Look, when someone is threatening world war as a major power, we should take notice of it. But, you know, it's not going to go from zero to hero with a world war overnight just because there are incursions into Russia. I mean, let's think about what the aim is here for the Ukraine. They want to target command posts, and they want to target munition dumps. That is a very legitimate, within customary law, international law, that is a legitimate target. So I cannot see Putin striking up a world war on the basis of another nation trying to defend itself.
And these weapons that we're talking about, how accurate can they be? I mean, if Zelensky wants to do that, he wants to specifically target, obviously not civilians, specifically target the sort of places you're talking about. How good are these weapons, and how safe would that assumption be?
They're very good. I mean, they have a range of 250 kilometers, about 155 miles. And their accuracy is pinpoint. They're very good. They've got a payload of 450 kilograms. And, that's going to give you a headache. So I would encourage the stance that our Prime Minister is taking. Very rare that I will ever agree with him on anything, but he is right that we should be pressing to give the Ukrainians whatever they need.
Mike, just one very quick question. We're running out of time, unfortunately. Many viewers are getting in touch saying, we are suffering so much in this country, pensioners, as we already discussed with the winter fuel allowance, etc., etc. We are spending billions on the Ukraine. Is it time to put a stop to it? What would you say to them?
I would like to waken them up. Look, the NHS, schooling, everything else that's competing for budget won't matter in the fullness of time if we're all speaking Russian. If you want peace, you need to prepare for war. I mean, the sad reality is it is expensive. It's an expensive business, but it's worth paying for if you value your freedoms.
OK, we'll leave it there for the moment.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you very much.
Thank
That's Major
you.
Mike Shearer.
Yeah.
Others say this is all part of a carefully crafted PR front as the couple tries to manage growing tensions behind the scenes. A cryptic birthday message might seem small, but in the world of Meghan and Harry, every detail matters. And this one feels like more than just a forgotten flourish. It feels like a signal, a warning, a message not just to Meghan, but to the public. Harry is pulling away. So what do you think? Is Harry just being cautious, or is this the latest sign their relationship is on the rocks? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe for more royal revelations.